In this video, we will discuss about vertebral column. Vertebral column is composed of flexible bones which is called vertebrae. There are total 33 vertebrae. Among these 33, 24 are separated bones, whereas the 9 bones they fuse to form 2 bones. If we talk about the length of the vertebral column, it is 60 to 70 centimeters long, and in inches it is 24 to 28 inches. So basically our vertebral column, which is also called spinal column, it is composed of flexible bones which is called vertebrae. There are total 33 vertebrae, among which 24 are separated bones and 9 fuse to form 2 bones. And if we talk about length, it is 60 to 70 centimeter long, and in inches it is 24 to 28 inches. Vertebrae are basically named according to the regions they occupy. So there are basically 5 main regions. Cervical region, thoracic region, lumbar region, and the last, sacrococcygeal region. In the cervical region, 7 cervical vertebrae. In thoracic region, we have 12 thoracic vertebrae. Our lumbar region, it is composed of 5 vertebrae, and sacrococcygeal region, it is composed collectively of 9 vertebrae. Among these 9 vertebrae, 5 are of sacral region and 4 is of coccygeal region. So these collectively fuse to form one vertebra. So basically we have discussed about the vertebrae that lies in 5 main regions. We have discussed about the cervical region. Cervical region is a region which is present in our neck, and it is composed of 7 vertebrae. Thoracic region is a region which is composed of our chest, and it has 12 vertebrae. The lumbar region, it is a region which lies below the thoracic region, and it is composed of 5 vertebrae. Sacrococcygeal region, it is composed of 9 vertebrae which are fused bones. Here you can see sacrum and coccyx. So now we will discuss in detail about all the vertebrae which is lying in these respective region and what are the characteristics of those vertebrae. The first region in the vertebral column is of cervical region. As we have discussed earlier, it is a region which is composed of cervical bones which lies in our neck. These are basically 7 vertebrae. The first vertebra is called atlas, and the second vertebra is called axis. These are basically 2 exceptional vertebrae. Except these 2 vertebrae, the 5 vertebrae of cervical region have similar characteristics. This is the first vertebra, this is called axis, and this is the second vertebra. These 2 vertebrae, these are of cervical region. This is called atlas and this is called the axis. If we talk about the axis, this axis has a promontory here. It has a prominence which is lying in the interior region. This prominence is called odontoid peg. This odontoid peg, it articulates with the first cervical vertebra which is called the atlas. Here you can view in detail this second cervical vertebra. This second cervical vertebra has a prominence. This prominence is called odontoid peg. With the help of this odontoid peg, this second cervical vertebra which is called axis, it articulates with the first cervical vertebra which is called the axis. These 2 cervical vertebrae, the first one is called the atlas and the second one is called the axis. These are basically the 7 cervical vertebrae. This is the first vertebra which we have discussed. This is called the atlas. This is the 7th cervical vertebra. This is called the axis. And these vertebrae, they are similar in characteristics. With the exception of these 2 vertebrae, they have some difference in them, which we have discussed that in the second vertebra which is called the axis, it has a prominence, and this prominence is basically called the odontoid peg. and with the mean of this odontoid bag, it articulates with the first cervical vertebra, which is called the atlas. Now we will discuss the characteristics of the rest of the remaining 5 cervical vertebrae, which are similar in characteristics. So here we will take a sample of one of the cervical vertebra. Here you can see the interior body. This interior region is called the body, and this is the posterior region. This interior region, it has oblong shape. Here you can see this shape. This is oblong in shape. This posterior region has an arc. In the posterior region you can see this arc. This region, this is called neural arc. The interior region is composed of oblong shape. The interior region is oblong shape. Posterior region has an arc, which is called, this region has an arc, which is called the neural arc. This is the neural arc. Tail shaped structure, this is called the spinous process. This is the spinous process. These are the transverse process. Here you can see these are the transverse process, right and left. It has a opening in it. This is called foramen, by mean of which cervical arteries and vessels passes. So we have discussed in detail about the structure of cervical vertebra. Cervical vertebra consists of an interior region and a posterior region. This interior region is oblong in shape, whereas this posterior region has a straight tail-like structure. This is called the spinous process. It has neural arc in it. It has this transverse process. Here you can see this transverse process has an opening, which is called foramen, and by means of this opening, cervical vessels and arteries, they passes. And this opening is an opening by means of which spinal column passes. Now we will discuss the second region of the vertebral column. The second region is called the thoracic region, and this region is composed of 12 vertebrae, and it forms a part of our chest, which is also known as thorax. Here you can see 12 thoracic vertebrae. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and the rest of the remaining 11 and 12. These are the 12 thoracic vertebrae. Here you can count them: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 and 12. So now we'll discuss in detail about the vertebrae of the thoracic region. Here you can see the interior region. This interior region is heart-shaped. If you can see, this interior region is heart-shaped. As we have discussed earlier, the interior region is known as the body, and the posterior region, it has a spinous process and a transverse process. The interior region is heart-shaped. The posterior region has a spinous process, and as it moves down the spinous process, it increase in its length. The transverse process has a facets, by means of which rib articulates with the thoracic vertebra. Here you can see these are the facets where rib articulates with the thoracic vertebra. So our thoracic vertebra, it has heart-shaped interior body. It has a spinous process and a transverse process. The transverse process has a facets where rib articulates with the thoracic vertebrae. The first 7 pairs of ribs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 and 7. The first 7 pairs of ribs are called true ribs because they are directly attached to the sternum by means of this cartilage. Whereas this 8, 9 and 10, this is called false rib because these are attached by means of a cartilage of the rib above. They are not directly attached to the sternum, they are attached to the sternum by means of the cartilage of the rib above. So our thoracic vertebra These articulates with these ribs. The rest of the remaining thoracic vertebrae are attached with these ribs. These ribs are called floating ribs. They are not directly attached to the sternum. They are freely floating in the thoracic cavity, and they are attached to the spinous process by means of these facets. So we can conclude that the body of the thoracic vertebra is heart-shaped with facets on each side for the attachment of the rib. The neural arc is relatively small and the spinous process is long. So the neural arc here is relatively small. The neural arc is relatively small. The spinous process is long. It has facet-like structure, this one where the ribs articulate, and it has a heart-shaped body. Now the third region, which lies in the vertebral column, is called the lumbar region. This region composed of 5 vertebrae. It has kidney-shaped body, hash-shaped spinous process. These are the 5 lumbar vertebrae. I'll pick up a one and explain it to you. See, you can see it is a kidney shape. Here you can clearly observe it has a kidney shape. See, it is bean shape, kidney shape. So interior body is kidney shape. This interior body is kidney shape. So the lumbar vertebra has an interior body which is kidney shaped, and it is hash shaped spinous process. See, it is hash shaped spinous process. It has a broad spinous process. See, it is broad. These are the transverse processes, and it has a slim transverse process, broad spinous process, and a kidney shaped interior body. The fifth part of the lumbar vertebra, it articulates with the first part of the sacrum. These are the sacral bones. These are the 5 sacral bones. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These are 5 fused sacral bones. The fifth part of this lumbar vertebra, it will articulate with the sacral bone at the sacral promontory and will form sacrococcygeal joint. So it will lie over here like this, and it will form a joint which is called sacrococcygeal joint. So we concluded that our lumbar vertebra, it is composed of 5 vertebrae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has an interior body which is kidney shaped, bean shaped. It has a broad spinous process and a slim transverse process. The fifth part of it articulates with the first bone of the sacrum and will form a sacrococcygeal joint. Part of the vertebral column is sacrococcygeal joint, is sacrococcygeal region. It is composed of total 9 vertebrae, among which 5 are sacral vertebrae, 4 are coccygeal vertebrae. These fuse to form one bone. Here you can see it has 5 sacral vertebrae, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 sacral vertebrae, and this tail region over here, this is a coccygeal region, and this region lying above this coccygeal region, this is the sacral region. The difference is that it has a base above. This the interior superior region is called base, and it has an apex below. The apical region of this sacrum, it will articulate with this coccyx and it will form sacrococcygeal joint. It has a promontory over here. You can see this is called sacral promontory. It is wedge shaped bone, and it is wedged in between these two innominate bone. Each innominate bone, it comprises of ilium, ischium, and this pubic. This has an ischial tuberosity. It has a foramen inside it. These are called sacral foramen for entry of sacral nerves. The base of the sacrum will articulate with the fifth lumbar vertebra and will form lumbosacral joint. It has a rudimentary spinous process. So in our whole lecture, we discussed about the vertebral column. We have total 33 vertebrae. Among them, we have a first region which is called cervical region, which is composed of 7 cervical vertebrae. The first 2 vertebrae in which there is atlas, and axis, it has an exception. The axis has a protuberance over here which is known as odontoid pag. This odontoid pag, it articulates with the first cervical vertebra which is known as the atlas. Excluding these two vertebrae, the rest of the 5 vertebrae have same characteristics. It has an oblong shape interior body. Neural arc is present. This is called the spinous process. These are called the transverse process. It has a facet. It has small foramen opening for the entry and removal of cervical arteries. After discussing the 7 cervical vertebra, we move to our next region which is called the thoracic region. This thoracic region, it is composed of 12 thoracic vertebrae. The thoracic vertebra is basically heart shaped. This is heart shaped. It has same like it has a spinous process. It has a transverse process. In its transverse process, it has a facet where the rib articulates. 2 of the thoracic vertebra are attached with the floating rib. After the thoracic column, we have the other region which is known as the lumbar region. Lumbar region is composed of 5 vertebrae. Our lumbar region has kidney-shaped interior body. It has thick spinous process and a slender transverse process. The cervical region, thoracic region, and the lumbar region, the bones of these regions are not fixed. These are separate. Like you can see, these bones are separated. There is a pad of fibrocartilage in between these bones which enable its free movement. Then we discussed about the 9 bones. Then we discussed about the sacrum, 5 sacral bones and 4 coccygeal bones. The 5 sacrum and 4 coccyx, they fuse to form one bone. So this was all about the vertebral column.